Hi, I'm Chris Wire. I want to thank you for purchasing my automatic whiteboard project template. I'm just going to give you a quick start guide to kind of get you up and running. The downloaded files come with an After Effects project and an After Effects script, and the script needs to be installed first. There's a separate help document to take you through that process. When you open up the After Effects project, you'll just see a splash screen here that reminds you to make sure the script is installed. Now, the easiest thing to do is to dock the script to your workspace. So we find the script in the window menu. So I'm going to click on the window menu here, look down at the bottom where all the scripts are, and you can see automatic whiteboard is there. Once I click this, the script appears. Now it remembers that it's been docked there. You may want to just drag the top and move it around to however your workspace is set up, and I'll leave it over here for the moment. Okay, so now that we've actually got the automatic whiteboard project open and we've got the automatic whiteboard script docked, we're ready to get started. We no longer need the splash screen to remind us what we do. So I'm going to delete that layer and let's start from scratch. Automatic whiteboard creates animations from text layers and also layers that have masks that you've drawn on them. The quickest thing we can do to get up and running is to add some text. So I'll just write some text. So here we have a normal everyday After Effects text layer. And we could just hit apply straight away, but I'll quickly run you through the commands to give you an idea of what they're doing. So first of all, looking up at the script, you've got a control for the duration of the end animation. So this is where you enter how long you would like the animation to last for. Now, if you have lots of layers and lots of masks, you might get a warning telling you that the duration is too short, in which case the animation will just be done to the shortest possible duration. But this gives you a starting point. So let's say we want to make this, say, 4 seconds. Next, you have your render options, and this is where you choose what the finished animation will look like. You can just have a plain stroke on a transparent background, but this is where you get to choose between all your different options of black. Let's choose blackboard, for example. Okay, next up we have the fill options. Now, just like text, when you're typing in text, you can have a fill and a stroke separately. This controls whether or not the text and your masks are actually filled in or whether they're only outlines. So if you choose no fill, you'll only get outlines. And then you've got two options if you do want them filled in. And the first is to fill them in with stroke. And this means fill them in at the same time that the outline is being drawn. And then fill after all strokes means the animation happens in 2 stages. First of all, we have all of the outlines drawn, and then afterwards, the strokes are all filled in. Now, the reason there are 2 options really for filling in is to do a synchronization. It's not possible to guarantee that the fill and the stroke will always be perfectly synchronized. It has to do with how many masks are closed and how many are open. I'll go into this in more detail in the next video, advanced options, but just be aware that that's what these options are. This means that the text is filled in at the same time, or it happens afterwards. This is the stroke thickness, the initial default. You can always change this afterwards by clicking on this. If we link all of our thicknesses to one control, you'll then see that we can change it afterwards. Same thing for colors. Are all the colors going to be linked at one control, or do you want to go through and manually do it yourself later? Do we want a hand to draw it on? That's kind of the point of this script, so we're going to click yes. And do we want our effect to have sort of a wiggle effect, like a Juno or a Red Bull effect? And we'll may as well click yes. So once we've gone through our options, all we have to do is select our layer and hit apply. We'll be told that it's checking our selection to make sure it's okay. Next, it's gone through and counted up all the masks that it's going to be used. It's telling us how many. Now it's creating the animation, and there we go. And you can see that that was no problem with the duration that we selected. So we've now got a timeline down here. The next thing to notice is that now that our animation has been created for us, is that we still have a few controls that we can change and tweak afterwards. So if we skip to the end, I'll skip down to say the 5-second mark, you'll see that there's a layer in our timeline called controls and settings. We select this layer and we press E, just like it says here, and this shows us our controls. Now, depending on what options you chose in the script panel, it'll depend exactly what you see here. In this particular case, we asked it to link all of the thicknesses to one control. So that means when we open up the effect and control panel, I just double clicked on that, we can now, I'm just going to scrub, we can adjust the stroke afterwards. So I might decide that I want that a bit thinner, we'll make that number 2. The wiggles for that sort of Juno look can be adjusted here. So the default is 5 wiggles per second, but you can make it wiggle faster or slower. It's important to note that if you've chosen that you want a hand animation, you can actually choose between 20 different types of hands. And obviously, because this is a blackboard, you want the one with chalk. And I think there's actually like 4 variations, and you've basically got a pen, a pencil, a Sharpie, and chalk, and then with different hand types. So if you want to just scrub through them, you can. But the point is that you can change the hand type after you've set up the animation. And then finally, if you do have the hand animation selected, you get to choose how fast the hand animates, and the default is half of the frame rate. This is a 25 frames per second animation, so the default for the hand animation is 12.5. If you are working in a 30 frames per second composition, the default would be 15, but you can change that. And so you can see that it's that simple.